Hi, Ed here from keywordspeopleuse.com, and I've got an exclusive time-limited offer for you. If you book a product demo with Keywords People Use, I'll give you a free 7-day trial of our standard plan, which allows you access to our new content optimization tool. This tool hooks into your Google Search Console data so we can find all the keywords you're ranking for and what pages are ranking. We then crawl your site content and use advanced machine learning techniques like embeddings and cosine similarity to find you content optimization opportunities that will quickly boost your impressions and clicks from Google. This new feature in Keywords People Use is already showing results for people using it. Don't miss out on the opportunity of a 7-day free trial. Just go to keywordspeopleuse.com/demo to book your slot. That's keywordspeopleuse.com/demo. You'll find a link in the show notes of this episode. Hello and welcome to SEO is Not That Hard. I'm your host Ed Dawson, the founder of the SEO intelligence platform keywordspeopleuse.com, where we help you discover the questions people ask online and then how to optimize your content to build traffic and authority. I've been in SEO and online marketing for over 20 years, and I'm here to share the wealth of knowledge, hints and tips I've amassed over that time. Hello, welcome back to SEO is Not That Hard. It's me here, Ed Dawson, as usual, and today we're going to talk about Goodhearts Law. Now, this is something that's come from the world of economics, but it has many implications across a whole variety of areas, including SEO. So if you've never heard what Goodhearts Law is, don't worry. I'm going to go through it and you're going to find how it can actually be more relevant to your SEO strategy than you might think. So in short, Goodhearts Law says when a measure becomes a target, it ceases to become a good measure. So what does that really mean? And how can it impact the way we look at optimizing websites or running any kind of online business? So let's have a look. So first of all, let's break down what Goodhearts Law actually is. So in simpler terms, it comes from an economist called Charles Goodhart. And he observed that once people know a certain metric will be used to evaluate them, then they'll focus on gaming or manipulating that metric, sometimes to the detriment of what the actual real underlying goals are of whoever set that metric as a measure. So in the context of SEO, this could mean fixating on a single sort of KPI, a key performance indicator, such as keyword rankings, backlinks, or organic traffic, and losing sight of the bigger picture, like user experience, conversions, brand reputation, that kind of thing. Yeah, a classic example of Goodharts Law that's often given in, this isn't an SEO example, but it will hopefully explain a bit more if it's still not quite clear. So imagine you've got a call center and the bosses at the call center only measure their agents, the people handling the calls, on the length of the call that those agents spend, okay, the average length of call. So agents are now motivated to get those calls finished as quickly as possible, which means that the agents are going to start rushing their calls to keep them short, which isn't necessarily going to be great for the customers. The customers can end up unhappy because their issues don't necessarily always get fully resolved. So look at it from SEO wise, if you only focus on page rankings, you might forget whether you're actually converting visitors. So the key sort of takeaway here is that when you place too much emphasis on one metric, you risk distorting your overall strategy. So that's Goodharts Law, like in a nutshell. So let's think about some other reasons, where you could go wrong here in SEO by focusing on the wrong thing. So an example from back in the day would be keyword stuffing. Back when search engines are really much more focused on what's on page rather than other metrics like backlinks and user engagement and things like that. Basically people used to stuff keywords into web pages, right? And they did this to boost their rankings. But the converse side of it was it made that content really poor and unreadable for actual humans. And eventually, the search engines, they got wise to this and they started to penalize it. A second one, backlinks, okay? People chasing backlinks at all costs. Now, we know backlinks are important for SEO. I'm not going to say that they're not. And it is a key metric for improving your sort of domain standing with the search engines. But if you just start chasing links without thinking about the quality of those links, you start doing things like buying links, using link farms, you end up with poor quality backlinks, and you can actually end up even getting penalized for this. So, for example, back in the day before Penguin, it was a lot more prevalent. I used to do it myself, buy a lot of backlinks, use a lot of spammy backlinks. We were just going for quantity of backlinks, not thinking about the quality. Google comes along, implements Penguin Update, bosh, we are completely hit and wiped out. And this still happens now. People concentrate on backlinks at all costs without thinking about quality, where they're coming from, do lots of shady link building tactics, and eventually, works in the short term, eventually you will get wiped out. Some people obsess over domain authority. So domain authority or domain rating that you get from places like Moz and from Ahrefs and places like that, they are an interesting metric for comparing the relative importance of websites, but they're only a metric from a third party. It's not a metric used by Google. There is some correlation. The higher the DA, generally the better a site is likely to be doing in the search, but it's not guaranteed, okay? And some people just get so focused on increasing their DA or the DR at the expense of anything else that they just end up trading links with irrelevant sites just to boost those. And again, it can lead to messy link profiles, and at the end of the day, it can end up leading to penalisation. So while it's interesting, it shouldn't be your key metric that you're focusing on. Another one that sometimes people look at is click-through manipulation. So focusing incredibly closely on their click-through rates. And this might be click-through manipulation in real black hat terms, but using proxies to simulate clicks and simulate engagement on the site. Or it could be by trying to write titles that encourage people to click, but then it doesn't necessarily work out for those people when they land on your page. So this is where the click-through rate in isolation, without thinking about the user engagement on the other side, can lead you to problems, because with poor user engagement, that could lead to issues further down the line. So what's the impact if you are spending time looking at the wrong metrics, looking at the wrong targets, becoming a victim of Goodhearts Law? Well, you're going to waste resources. If you're spending time and money chasing a single KPI, for example, say you're cranking out blog posts like crazy, trying to hit some kind of blog frequency target you set yourself. If you ignore the content quality, user engagement, conversion, those kind of things, you're going to end up with worse content. You're going to lower the value of the content on your site. You're going to end up with user dissatisfaction. If you're not delivering real value to your users, giving them what they actually want, say you focus solely on speed. It's important to have a fast website, but you still got to have good content as well. If the content and the design is awkward or the content is irrelevant, then people are going to click away, which again, this sends a negative signal to Google that your site isn't meeting people's needs. You're going to risk penalties, okay? Over-optimizing for particularly things like links and some other areas like that, you're going to end up potentially pushing yourself into areas where you go straight from white hat to grey hat into black hat. And at a certain point, you risk getting hit with penalties. And you can become strategically blind. If your culture of your company and your website revolves around one single metric, you're going to miss bigger opportunities and you're going to fail to adapt when algorithms change. So let's think about how to mitigate Goodhearts Law, okay, especially in SEO. So, as I said, a lot of the metrics we've talked about in isolation are not necessarily that bad, It's if they become the full focus that it's a big issue. So what you need to do is, instead of focusing on just one thing, instead of just focusing on page rank or just traffic or just organic traffic or just engagement, you need to have a basket of key performance indicators for your site. So you want to sort of look at organic traffic. Yeah, it's important. Look at on-page engagement, things like time on page, bounce rate, that kind of thing. Look at conversions, look at return visits, and look at revenue per visitor. If you see one performing badly at the expense of the others, then that's when you start to realise that your focus is going in the wrong area. You need to keep a balance, okay? Will mean compromises in certain areas. It may mean compromising the level of organic traffic you have if conversion is more important. But obviously, at the end of the day, your website needs to make money. Your business needs to make money. So you've got to concentrate on that bottom line. Emphasize sort of user-centric goals. So put yourself in your visitor's shoes. What's the experience like? Do people find information they need quickly? Is your site easy to navigate on mobile? If you know your site inside out better than anyone else, and if you've got a frustration that you know about your site, even though you know your site inside out, how much more likely is that to be a frustration for your users, for example. So think about putting yourselves in your users' shoes, and especially people coming to a site for the first time without knowing anything. Regularly sort of reassess what your targets are. So changes quickly, your business focus might change. Your targets can be very different in the early days as they are in latter days. Obviously, most sites in the early days are going to focus more on gaining organic traffic because revenue is the wrong target, because without any traffic, you're not going to have any revenue. But as your business, your website matures, you're going to start looking more into, for example, revenues becomes more important than pure organic traffic numbers. And that's where you're potentially going to look at things like conversion rate. So always assess what the targets you have, whether they're the right ones for the life cycle of your business. Always think of quality over quantity. From content to backlinks, always ask yourself, is this high quality? Does it make sense to my audience? Does it reflect well on my brand? And if the answer is no, then you might be veering into the Goodhearts Law danger zone. And finally, always stay educated on best practices. So SEO, as it's ever evolving. So you need to keep learning about algorithm updates. You need to read reputable SEO blogs, network with other SEOs, listen to podcasts like this one, listen to other podcasts. Keeping on top of things will help you spot the difference between a good metric and a meaningless one. So that's it for today. No, it wasn't a pure SEO one. I know it is more behavioral economics in that one, but it is an important one to think about because, hopefully, as I've demonstrated, there are plenty of SEO pitfalls you can fall into and become a victim of Goodhearts Law, because it doesn't just apply in one area with it. It applies to us as equal as it does to call centres and other areas or other organisations which track metrics and end up tracking them to a single metric to the detriment of others. So, hopefully find it useful. Hopefully it's given you something to think about your business, your websites. And if you've got any questions, any thoughts, do get in touch. Love to hear from you. And until next time, keep optimising, stay curious, and remember, SEO is not that hard when you understand the basics. Thanks for listening. It means a lot to me. This is where I get to remind you where you can connect with me and my SEO tools and services. You can find links to all the links I mentioned here in the show notes. Just remember, with all these places where I use my name, the Ed is spelled with 2 Ds. You can find me on LinkedIn and Blue Sky. Just search for Ed Dawson on both. You can record a voice question to get answered on the podcast. The link is in the show notes. You can try our SEO intelligence platform, Keywords People Use, at keywordspeopleuse.com, where we can help you discover the questions and keywords people are asking online, cluster those questions and keywords into related groups so you know what content you need to build topical authority, and finally, connect your Google Search Console account for your sites so we can crawl and understand your actual content, find what keywords you rank for, and then help you optimize and continually refine your content with targeted, personalized advice to keep your traffic growing. If you're interested in learning more about me personally or looking for dedicated consulting advice, then visit www.eddawson.com. Bye for now, and see you in the next episode of SEO is Not That Hard.